The sport of off-road racing is full of incredible stories, wild characters, legends, and even villains. We cover it all on offroadracer.com, but there's only so much we can put down in an article. Sometimes we have to dig a little deeper, and that means sitting down with some of our industry's most influential characters and hitting record. Welcome to the Off-Road Racer podcast, a Mad Media production, made exclusively for offroadracer.com. Each month, we'll go beyond the dirt into the homes, shops, and lives of the most interesting and game-changing icons of our sport. You'll hear about their history, success, failure, and everything in between as we pull back the curtain and reveal the stories of their lives. I'm your host, Matt Martelli, and this is the Off-Road Racer podcast. All right. I'm Matt Martelli. This is the Off-Road Racer podcast, and I'm here with my good friend Mario Fuentes. What's up, Mario?
Hey, Matt. How you doing?
Dude, I'm stoked that this worked out. I was like, only a couple days ago, I was like, hey, are you available? And I know you're traveling all over the place, so I'm glad we get to actually sit down.
Yeah, no, thank you for the invitation. I mean, it's great to be here, and we're fortunate to be here in the area, and yeah.
Yeah, you were doing all the errands and going to Fortin and all the different suppliers.
Exactly. Yeah, this morning after the race, we're just assembling the car, so I just did a good route and visited all my good friends and see what we need to do to get ready for the California 300.
Nice. Well, I assume you're going to race in between that, no?
Yeah, we're thinking of Vegas to Reno or maybe the 1000. We're still figuring out. I don't think the 1000 because I think we beat the car pretty much at 300. So
yeah, it
might be a Vegas to Reno, but we're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, no, and congratulations on your Mint 400 win. That was a huge one. Yeah. That's not an easy race to finish, let alone get a win at.
Exactly. It's our first win as a team, and it's a Mint 400. So we're really excited. We're stoked, and we were getting greedy because we were doing really well, and then we said we have a chance for the overall. We're like, so we started pushing. Lalo was my other driver, and he was the one driving at the beginning. We didn't tell him that he was already in first place, so he could keep pushing. But then we had a malfunction with the electrical system, and we had to stop and figure it out.
Yeah, what lap was that? It
was the beginning of the third lap.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's always crazy. It's like you start having those gremlins and you're like, oh man, here we go.
Yeah.
Like, just don't DNF.
Yeah, we're like, no, yeah, the DNF, we were like, I actually did think we were going to be out because it was an electrical problem. Suddenly the oil pressure went out, the fuel pressure went out, and then suddenly the accelerator, because we have a paddle shift, so it's a fly-by-wire.
Yeah.
So it started going fast, and we're like braking on the car and then just stopped, and we were trying to figure it out, and fortunately Ray was there, and Lalo got a hold of him, and then Ray called James Lynn and said, no, it's not an engine, or it's an electrical problem. So they started looking at the cannons and started, and let's go.
Yeah. That's really cool that you gave Lalo an opportunity to drive with you. He's a really good driver.
Yes. Yeah, well, we did a couple changes in our team. We want our team to be very, very successful. So we also got on board a new head crew mechanic, crew chief.
Yeah,
and then Lalo also is an additional driver, and yeah, he's a great driver. We're fortunate to have him in the team, and hopefully we can have him a bit longer. He's a dad right now, and just for the first time, and his wife gave birth like 5 days before the race.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I saw that he had a newborn, but I didn't know it was 5 days before the race.
Yeah.
Another Mint 400 baby.
Exactly. She was our lucky baby.
Yeah,
and we're stoked. We're very excited. We like I was telling you before, it's a great experience. I mean, it was great, organized. We got hungry. There was accessible food, accessible water, everything. I mean, congratulations to you and all your crew because
No, thank you. It was a really good year for the Mint 400, and it's fun too. When I have my friends like you there racing and having success. It's one of the things I hate as a promoter is that being there and hearing all the like, oh well, I broke down, and I'm like, oh man, that sucks. But you didn't have that. You had a great success.
We did pretty well. Yes. We prepared for it.
Yeah.
A lot, and we accomplished what we were going. We wanted to accomplish.
Yeah, the car, like obviously I'm very familiar with the Jimco, the Hammerhead. It's a really badass vehicle platform, and not a ton of them out there, but you bought one and you've been racing one now. It's 3 years? Right?
Yeah, 3 years. And I actually have a second one as well.
Nice.
Yeah, and we're working on it and seeing what the upgrades we can do to it as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, how did you get involved in this in off-road racing originally?
As a young boy over there, we're from a desert town as well in Juarez, El Paso area, and we started actually with the Bangies back then, and we got some great dunes, and we started four-wheeling the Bangies, and then started getting into buggies and racing, and because with the motorcycle, every time you fall, you hurt yourself, and
with age comes the cage.
Exactly, and then you get a little bit more chubby, and so at a young age, my uncle started racing, and a couple of cousins of mine, and then I got into it, and they kind of dropped, and I kind of stayed on it, and now that within the age and with my abilities, I bought my car, and I always wanted a Jimco. To tell you the truth, I was born with Jimco top of mind and 14 top of mind. It's like forever brand.
Yeah, no. Mm-hmm. It's interesting, like growing up over in the El Paso, Juarez area, was there more racing on the Mexican side or on the American side?
On the Mexican side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Every Sunday we would go around 20 or 30 Bangies to the dunes, and that same group started doing some trails and started doing races and lap races, and then the buggies started coming in, and that's when everything changed, right?
Yeah, it's cool. Like I remember growing up in Glamis, and it was before there was a border fence there, and all the Mexican off-roaders would just drive over, ride Glamis, and then drive home. And I remember doing the same thing as a kid, like getting on the three-wheeler and like riding, and I don't even think I understood that it was another country, but like riding into Mexicali and going to taco stand and then riding back to Glamis, and like nobody cared. It was hilarious.
So on one side you got TJ in San Diego, and the other side you got Glamis and Calexico, right? Yeah, on both sides of the border.
Yeah. No, it was funny. And then as you started racing more, then what was the kind of evolution of where you went racing?
Well, evolution, what do you mean by that? Like,
I mean, you started doing some buggy stuff over in Juarez.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I always wanted to race over here in the big leagues, right? At this level, and that has always been my goal, and I guess it's always going to be in my blood, it's something that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
We have a busy life working.
Yeah.
And it's something that I can say I'm going to take 10 days off, 20 days off, 3-4 times a year, and just a little me time, right? And do what I love. And that's what I really want to get my son into as well, because I know that in the future it's going to be like a dad and son time that we can enjoy together once or twice a year.
Yeah. Mm. No, that's really cool. There's a lot of fathers and sons in this style of racing that, this is the common thing that they always come together on. So it'll be cool to see your son get involved, right?
Yeah. Some people like fishing. We like to break cars.
It's okay to go fishing every now and then too, but there's nothing like racing. So, you've been on this journey racing, and you've done well at the 500 and the 1,000 and a couple of the other races. Like, what's been your favorite kind of moment in this journey of off-road racing?
Well, it's mainly the bonding with the outdoors and with your friends, right? And with everybody, your team, and everything is just it's. I mean, only us that like that know what it feels like and why we do it, right?
Sure.
It's just getting away from day to day, you know.
Yeah.
And you really need to focus in racing. You can't be thinking about anything else because if not, you'll go out of the trail and hit a bush or something. So you really need to focus on what you're doing. If not, you'll get hurt.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. You know, when we were down in San Felipe, we were doing a photo shoot. You had your whole family there to see you racing. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. What was it? Right after COVID.
Yes.
Right after COVID, the car was ready a year before, and we were eager to get out there and race. And yeah, it's when we did a photo shoot over there in the desert in the evening. And my wife, she supports me 100%. My kids also, and so it's been easy for me to a certain point, right?
Yeah. No, that's cool. So, you know, now you've got a pretty big win under your belt. And what's next for you guys?
Well, we're gonna keep winning.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned before, we have a good race program right now. We're doing all our preps in house. We got a good additional drivers, like we mentioned before, Lalo and then Juan, Christian, my navigator. So for now, it's racing in the States, the limited series. Try and fit another race. Next year, the plans are, like we mentioned before, I have a second car. Try and do the limited series in the States and do 2 races in Mexico as well.
Nice.
And try and get some sponsors on board.
Yeah.
That's really a really must.
Well, everybody's looking at you now because of the Mint 400 win, you know, and two, like, you know, you also put up some money. You put up 15 grand for the class to get more class 1 cars out. You know, like I kind of already know the answer to this, but like, why did you choose, like, everybody's going spec truck racing, and, you know, you chose this path with class 1, and, you know, class 1 doesn't have a ton of entries. But are you just, you know, hardcore buggy guy, or why'd you choose that path?
Yeah, I like buggies, trucks. Tell you the truth, that my experience with trucks is I hadn't had that much. But I think I'm a buggy dork, like they say.
Yeah.
And I want to get more buggies in the line, right? And support the buggy class as well.
Yeah, I was talking to the whole team at Jimco, and they're gonna put up some more contingency prizes for the class because they're excited about, you know, the Mint in the car counts that we had for Parker and it growing, because there's a lot of class 1 cars sitting out there that could be, you know, racing with us.
Racing against your dad is something that 90% of the racers in the world will never get.
I've accomplished everything I wanted to do, and now he's just like taking the reins. I want to be remembered for being a huge part of short course, not just racing, keeping it alive, helping it grow. If it comes down to the last weekend and I'm in it, the boys better watch out.
Exactly. There's a lot of ones. I was doing the same thing. I was looking at the other races, and there's 15 on one, 7 another, 7 another. So there's around 40, 50 cars out there that if we can somehow get them to race together, it would be really cool. And next year, hopefully, we can do something more dynamic to try and get them more involved, right?
Yeah, it's funny because, like, I'm a big fan of buggies in particular, you know, like the class 1 cars. Like, from a driver's perspective, like, I like them because you can see the wheels, right? Like, you kind of know, yeah, you know where you're at. Whereas the truck, there's a lot of times where you're just looking at sky or hood, and you just gotta almost like have faith that your wheels are placed where you want them to.
Exactly.
So it's you know, coming from buggies and switching into trucks, it's a pretty uncomfortable feeling.
Well, yeah, some people say that, and some people say some people say the trucks are very forgiving, right? That that they're very comfortable. I've driven one. I've been on the side on one as well, and they are, compared to my car, they're comfortable. But buggies, I think, are buggies, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting though, because like the evolution that, Robbie Pierce pushed the Jimco Class 1 platform to, it pushed it closer to what a truck performance is in the front end and even in the rear. So it's not that far off.
It isn't on the front. We have the same travel, the same suspension. On the rear, we got trailing arms, and we're working on that as well to get them a little bit more wheel travel and a little bit more to perform better.
Yeah.
But on the engine, I drive a Dugan's engine with over 900 horsepower, and
Yeah.
and so they're pretty big, fast cars.
But the funny thing is that, like, I love the way that they corner, and I love being able to see the actual suspension work, right? I was just looking at a video clip that we posted, and it was you cornering, right? And just the way it just digs the corner and just pulls through is beautiful, It's like this magnificent machine going through hell, but doing it in a way that's like absolutely like, it's like a dance.
Exactly. And there's another picture, a great picture that I saw. So when the car lands after a jump, it's fully compressed.
Yeah, I saw that one
That's
too.
also a really good take.
Yeah.
You can see the car working how they're supposed to, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we had some big jumps out there.
Oh my.
No, we have a great crew that builds the track. I go, back with them. This guy named Matt McCall's one of the guys who he's the primary guy, and he grew up sweeping a shop up in here in San Diego, like one of the old shops, and knows off-road, knows motocross, and he really knows how to push the jumps so they're still safe, but they show off the capabilities of the trucks and the buggies. And I could tell you, like, I was sitting in the VIP area and everybody had their phone out every time you guys came through, and the cheers and the oohs and the ahs it was pretty cool to see that as a promoter and as a fan.
Yeah,
It was a lot of fun. The other thing I was going to ask you about is as you kind of started doing more and more stuff, like, are you going to move into trucks, or are you going to stay with buggies?
No, I'm gonna stay with buggies.
Yeah.
Yeah. For now and for quite a bit, stay
Yeah.
in buggies. Maybe later in life when I get older,
You go to the couch.
Yeah, maybe I'll grab a truck. But for now, focusing on the buggies and trying to get them back on.
Yeah, back built up.
Exactly.
Well, it seems like you were saying you had a little bit of an electrical issue, but it seems like you have your car pretty figured out.
Yes, we've worked a lot on it, and we've dialed it in quite a bit, and we know when there's something wrong with it, we can figure it out.
Yeah, I remember when you first bought the car, like, what was your, so you buy the car and you're like, okay, this is cool, I'm getting a Hammerhead, but then you have that first drive. What was that first drive like?
It was scary. It was scary because it's a big car. It's not a 10, it's not a 1600. It's you got power, you got travel. You can get hurt. So it did take me a while to get used to it, and still taking me a while to get used to it. And it got me scared, and you still need to respect them. We've done, for example, we did the paddle shift upgrade on it, which has helped me a lot, improved a lot, because now it's easier. You don't get tired with your hands with all the shifting, which that helped me with my driving as well. But yeah, they keep you busy.
And you can keep your hands up on the wheel as opposed to moving them all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you had Lofton racing with you for a bit, and like when he was racing Class 1, he was an absolute maniac. What was that like racing with him?
Oh, it's a great experience with racing with him, because I've learned a lot. We've become pretty good friends through the years, and I learned a lot from him as well. He's helped me with my car, setting it up, and driving skills as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his dad as well had the opportunity. I had the opportunity for him to drive it on 1000 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, his dad's great, man. I love them as people and obviously as racers, and they make some good beef.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So that definitely helps.
Attention Off-Road Nation. The Unlimited Off-Road Racing Championship comes roaring through Parker, Vegas, and Barstow in 2024. It's 3 of the most prestigious and competitive off-road races in the sport. It all starts with the return of the Parker 400 in beautiful Arizona, January 10th through the 14th. Then it's the biggest, baddest, most grueling off-road race on the planet. The BFGoodrich Tires Mint 400 comes roaring back into Sin City, Las Vegas, March 6th through the 10th. And finally, the climactic conclusion of the Unlimited Off-Road Racing Championship, the California 300, returns to Barstow, October 2nd through the 6th. Visit unlimitedoffroadracing.com for complete details. The 2024 Unlimited Off-Road Racing Championship is here.
Well, what do you think, like the future holds for you guys beyond just, the couple races? Are you going to add more people to your team, or you kind of have it where it's at?
No, we're thinking about adding a few more people to the team, making a few adjustments as well in our crew.
Yeah.
The drivers, I think we're a solid group right now. We've gotten to know each other. If we have a longer race, we would have another set of drivers as well to help us out with the driving, because it's challenging, and we wanna get our team to perfection.
Yeah.
And start winning more racing and start being a recognized team as a well performed team as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so you guys are prepping all your own stuff now?
Yes, over there in Juarez, actually. We have a shop over there in Juarez, right next to El Paso, Texas.
Nice. Do you, are there any races over there that you would end up doing?
There's races.
Yeah.
There's some in El Paso and Juarez. There's around maybe 10, 11 races a year.
Yeah.
I don't race over there because it interrupts my race schedule over here, and I'm more focused on over here.
Yeah, but it's cool that there's at least a small scene over there.
There is, and there's quite a few, mainly UTVs, right? But
yeah, I'd expect that to be pretty big and growing. And even I keep getting messages from different promoters in mainland Mexico, and I want to go down and check out some of their UTV races that they're doing.
Well, whenever you go, just ring me up and we'll go check out a few.
Yeah, no, it sounds like fun. I've been all through Mexico and South America and gone to off-road races and rally races and stuff, and it's always a good time and always good food.
Exactly. Good food and good atmosphere.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, that's one thing, I've raced the record and code, and they definitely party at their races, right? A little too much, because it's I'm like, hey, what time do we start the next day?
Exactly.
But it's always fun. I mean, tech and contingency is always a blast. In Mexicali, it's good, especially because of some of my good friends that run that league down there, and same thing in Ensenada. So
yeah, well, it's a different culture, right? And in Mexico, our culture is always friendly and happy, and there's a lot of partying involved, but it's part of the culture, right? No,
it should be. It's the same in the States, we're handing people beers at the finish line. That was one of the things that bothered me when I came up and was doing races in the States, is we get to the finish line, I'm like, this is boring. This is like a bum out session, as opposed to you get to the end of a race in Baja and somebody hands you a Tecate right away, right?
Yeah.
And usually some tacos, right? So that's why we started doing it at our races. Is that I remember the feeling as a racer of being handed that beer and going, man, this is the best beer I've ever had, because you just earned it.
You're tired, you're dehydrated, and that beer tastes.
Yeah,
you. That's what when you cross that finish line. That's what comes on top of your mind. That beer that they're gonna hand you out, right?
Yeah,
it's
the finish line reward for sure. But yeah, I mean, and that's something that's important to us. I mean, obviously, I'm super stoked you're racing with us, but is making sure that all the Mexican teams, know that we want them to come race with us, right? Because this border or this culture is cross border. We just did a whole piece on the Negretti family, and they have family in Tijuana and in San Diego, and they all come together and race, now with us, but, a lot in Baja and Class 5. So it's cool to see that cross-border culture. We want to foster that. We want to make sure that, all the Mexican teams know that they're welcome to come race with us, and, and we'll come race with them in Baja as well.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I think that the way your race is structured and the closeness to the border, we will get more Mexico teams on the other side.
Yeah, and it's it's funny because like there's a lot of teams that are Hispanic up here as well, and I've had a few of them approach me and say, hey man, like we appreciate you inviting everybody to your events, and like even some of the messaging that we're doing in Spanish too, to make sure that like we're speaking their language and not just omitting them, because that this culture was born first in Baja and then in the States, and I think it's important to keep that culture tied together.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, plus it's a good reason to go get good tacos.
Exactly.
For you, what's been your favorite race that you've done so far?
Well, peninsula runs are always a favorite, right?
Definitely.
It's you get a good long ride, and just pre-running itself, it's fun. It's enjoyable. The racing, it's also enjoyable, but it's a headache because it's a lot of operational side, right? Getting all the fuel where you need it to be, the crews, and a lot of people. But once you go through it, you're like, okay, it's over. I just did a peninsula run, and it's awesome. And the second race, to tell you the truth, and not because of you're here, but the Mint for me was a great experience, and definitely is going to be on my list, because you got coverage, you got spectators, you got a great track, you got everything. It's very enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, me and my team work our asses off to make sure that the Mint is as good as it can be, and we're always looking to improve it. But I appreciate that, because that means a lot to me. It means that we're doing the right thing, because we look at all the other events and we go, hey, what did they do right? What did they do wrong? And even other races and other events, concerts, we go to and we look at how they do things, and and stuff like that. But I think you mentioned it earlier, like one of the rad things about the Mint is like it's safe. You can bring your family to it, your wife and your kids, and they can go do things on their own. They can go shopping, hang out at the pool, and kind of enjoy Vegas while we're out having a good time in the dirt, or they can come out and be a part of that. It's up to them. But, having the backdrop of Vegas and the infrastructure is pretty rad.
Yeah. No, everything. The parade itself, it's a great experience. You get there,
parade was fun, right?
You keep us busy.
Yeah.
Since we get there, ding.
Yeah. No, it's funny because, like, I tell the story about, getting the parade done, and, we had to go to the mayor, and she's awesome. She was like, yeah, let's do this. I think it'll be really cool. Now it's been a tradition now. I think we've done it now for 10 years. Right. And this year was special because we had Ivan Stewart leading the parade, and, in his Camberg Magnaflow truck. And they even went as far as putting the Toyota front end on it. Mm. So it was, a little bit accurate to, him racing a Toyota. Wasn't the actual 01 car, but still was pretty cool, So, and then Dinner Champions, and the off-road festival the next day, which this year was absolutely slammed, right?
It was fun.
Yeah.
When I passed through Tech, we stayed there for maybe 3 or 4 hours, and then hit that bar that's right there on the Tech side. The one
on Atomic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And having a couple of beers there, and then headed back because we're going to pre-run on Friday. But
Yeah.
there was a lot of people down there and a lot of great exhibitions.
Yeah. No, and Fremont Street's awesome. I mean, what's cool about the tradition of that is like, the Binions which is the hotel now that was the Mint 400. They actually started the race down there, and then they'd race off and hang a left and go up through the racetrack into the North Course, right? So that's why we do it down there. Is just we want to keep that tradition alive, and it's cool. It just lets everybody touch and feel the cars, and just like Mexico,
Exactly. I've been on that side of the story, right? The spectator side, and I used to love going to the Malecón and watching all the drivers and the cars and those shocks and the bypasses and I think that's great. I mean, it builds it gets in their brain, right? And their future racers somewhere or another they'll figure out to buy their first Class 5 or whatever they need to start racing.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, that's what it's about, is building, future generations of racers and race fans. Was there, when you were coming up in racing, was there a racer that you looked at and you're like, oh man, I'd love to be like him?
Well, Ivan Stewart, and then the Rough Riders, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Those are the guys that I grew up with, and the drivers that one idolized, right?
Yeah, it's crazy to think too. Like, I still go in people's shops and their houses, and they still have Rough Rider posters up, right? It's like somebody needs to do a modern version of that, right? And put together that team, because that was such an iconic team that had different race vehicles and different personalities on the team, and of course, like now it's like Rob McCachran, like when he was much younger. So that was same, like to me, it was Ivan Stewart, and then it was the Rough Riders. So, but that'd be cool to get all those guys back.
Exactly. No, they used to race.
Yeah. I can't imagine, like, some of those cars were so limited, like the Class 8s and stuff. I'm like, they were getting the shit beat out of them,
And they finished.
Yeah.
They managed to finish some way or another, and it's.
Yeah.
I don't know if the races weren't that tough, or maybe we're not that tough anymore, but.
I mean, I think that it's a combination of things. I think, I think the races were tough, but I think now the courses that we're running, are pretty beat up.
Plus, we got faster vehicles than back then. So.
Oh, yeah. We have way more capable vehicles than they did. So
they break easier.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, excuse me, what else you got going on?
Other than racing, just work.
Yeah,
work and work to pay for the racing, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's like the McQueen saying of like, life is racing, everything else in between is just waiting, right?
Exactly.
No, that's rad. Excuse me.
No, and we right now, like I mentioned before, we're gonna tear down the car and see what we can do upgrades on. From Parker to the Mint, we changed the ratio of our transmission to make it a bit faster, and in every race we learn a bit more about the car and about the terrain, and we work on that after each race and try to make it perfectionize it better or make it better, right?
Yeah, no, that's cool. And then, are you doing any UTV riding in between, or? Oh
yeah, I the weekends every other then I take my UTV to the desert and do some wheel time, like they say, and enjoy the outdoors. Summer's coming, so it's good for us right now, and winter, you got short days, so you can't do pretty much.
Yeah, I'm glad the time change hit. I wish it would have hit before the race, but still, it's welcome, ready for summer.
I didn't even remember. I got back home on Sunday, and on Monday I woke up. It's late. I'm like, then I slept, and then my wife said, "No, it's 1 hour." Also, I'm good. Actually, good. Yeah.
Well, we had the awards on Sunday, and there's the time change, and so like Saturday I'm beat, and we had the finish line went till about 8 or 9 o'clock, and then we had a band play, and then everybody's like, let's go to the tree bar, and we had a bonfire, and I stayed up as long as I could, and then I'm like, finally I'm just like, I don't care anymore, and crashed out, and got straight up the next morning, did awards, and started cleaning stuff up, so it was good.
You guys still cleaning up over there? No, or are you done?
Yeah, we've got all clean up. We have like I said, I mean, we've put together a really good team of people, and everybody from the race staff to the event staff to everything. Like, we've got it pretty dialed, and so we're in and out pretty quickly, and a lot of people that help us. I mean, we always have to, at the end of it, have to thank like an army of people for pitching into the Mint, because it's not a small lift, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So how about you guys? Are you going to do a 4th race or no?
Yeah, we're working on a 4th race.
That would be nice.
Yeah, it's definitely top of mind. We have a few options, so I'm pretty sure we'll get one done for 2025. And too, like, we're trying to space stuff out so we don't kill everybody. I mean, it was interesting. This was the first year we went from the California 300 in October to Parker in January, and right to the Mint in March. So for my guys, they're tired. They need a little bit of time off. So, we're going to do that, but we're already, I have a bunch of things to look at here in the next week. I'm going to go out and look at some new course in different areas, and, start working on putting that together. So
cool. Yeah. It's that one race that everybody's expecting, because from now on, if we don't have another race,
it's a long stretch till October. Yeah. But it's a double-edged sword for us, because the deserts up here get super hot, so, which sucks. I mean, nobody wants to race in 120 degree weather, and then we always think of it in terms of like, or the spectators going to come out, right? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a funny story about us doing the California 300, is that was the old Fireworks 250 course. And my clearest memory of that race was they did it on 4th of July, and it was just hotter than shit. And I had, I was a kid, I'd saved up some money working different jobs and bought this really nice pair of Vans. And they used to have tech and contingency in the parking lot of the college. And I'm walking around, and all of a sudden I'm like, I could feel my feet sticking. I'm like, what the hell? And I looked down, I lift my shoe up, and I had melted the bottom of my shoes. And I was so bummed. I'm like, these are like the coolest shoes I've ever owned. And I just melted them at this race walking around. So that stuck in my head. And I'm like, let's not do it in July. It's too hot.
Yeah, it's too hot. July and August.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's a good one for a Class 1 car, because I think there's some technical stuff that we have the trucks go through, where I would prefer to have a buggy in versus a truck. But then there's some really fast stuff, and there's some rough stuff. So it's that course is really good. Barstow, is surprising. Like, it has this reputation for being really rough, and it is in the front section, and it's rocky. But there's some long graded roads and some technical stuff, and we even found a little silt bed.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, of course, it was funny because we could put the course anywhere, right? Mm-hmm. But once we found the silt bed, I'm like, oh yeah, we're going through that. And everybody was cool with it.
Yeah, no, I haven't had the opportunity to race the California 300, but right now what I've been hearing, it's that it's rougher than Mint and the park itself.
I don't think it's rougher than Mint. I just think it's different, right? Like, Mint is just rough, the whole thing. Like it's relentless. Whereas Barstow, I think there's a lot of breaks where it smooths out. And so you get up to speed. So when you hit the rough stuff, it's kind of like, oh, you know, you got to check up and really kind of pay attention to the terrain. And it's rocky. You know, there's a lot of stuff where if you step off out of the main line, you're taking a big risk. But no, I think it's one of those courses that I feel has a little bit of everything, and that's why we put the race on there. Is I'm like, I want it to be challenging. I want you to get to that finish line and be like, yeah, I don't want to go out in another lap. I want you to feel accomplished, like the Mint. You know, like that's one thing I'm really proud about the Mint is that, you know, you're at the end of it, your ass is kicked, right? But you've earned that finish, and you know, if you podium, you've definitely earned that podium. You had to fight all day for it.
Exactly. It's you end up exhausted.
Yeah.
And the vehicle, I don't know, whatever is next to exhaustion, right? It's just there. I don't think it would go another lap.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very tiresome.
Yeah. Are there any racers now that you look at and you're like, man, that guy is somebody I look up to, or, you know, see as a, you know, really good competitor?
Well, there are several. Yeah, I mean, all the trophy truck guys. I mean, those the good racers, the McMillans, the Menzies, Lofton, all of them. They're pretty good racers. I mean, they're all at that level. And in buggies, I mean, Lalo, for example, he surprised me. He's a pretty badass driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's young, and I think we can milk him a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I mean, he's for the class ones. I think he had a really good car as well. But I think if he has the opportunity, he can be overhauling as well. And in the trucks, those guys. I mean, I look at them and I see how do they manage to go that fast, or just stop carrying. And when I race by and I see all the spectators, I get nervous. I mean,
sure.
And when you're going through the zoo road or something, you're going fast, and the cars, I mean, whatever you go off the trail, and you're gonna kill a couple people. I mean,
yeah, it's scary.
It is.
I remember though, like one of the wildest things I've ever seen in off-road racing was Ball 1000. We were in Guerrero Negro at the road crossing, and we were waiting for the trucks to come through. It was just after dark, just after sunset, so it got dark, and there was thousands of people, and they were drinking, and they were right on the edge of the road, right? And you could hear the first truck coming, and the crowd was getting excited. Everybody's yelling, yeah, doing selfies, the whole 9 yards, right? And I can't remember who the lead truck was, but they came through, and you could hear them shift down, and then, you know, they crossed the road crossing about 50, 60 miles an hour, still jumping it and everything. And it was like, oh, everybody's like, yay, right? Next truck comes through, and that one was a little bit faster. Then you hear this truck, and I'm like, he's not downshifting. In fact, it sounds like he stepped on the gas. And it was Tavo. And he came through, and he flew. It seemed like it was 300 feet. It was probably 150 feet, but he never lifted, and jumped the road crossing, landed, and then there was a little bit of a straight, and then a little chicane to the right. And I just remember seeing, you know, these people that seemed like they were just inches off the course, and Tavo was so focused. He was just threading the needle the whole time. But you know, I was, you know, back a ways in the crowd, and like I have a photo of it, but it doesn't do it any justice. It just looks like a lot of people, right? Mm-hmm. And I just remember thinking, like, dude, this is like running of the bulls, except for the bull is a trophy truck, right?
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy. It was pretty wild.
Yeah.
But he has that confidence, you know?
Yeah, he's fast.
Yeah, he's definitely fast.
He's fast.
Yeah, no, it's good. Well, I'm excited, you know, to first off to congratulate you on your Mint 400 win, and you know, and to be having you race with us in the future, and hopefully attract more Class 1 teams and more Mexican teams to our league.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity and the racing, the races you're putting on as well.
Yeah.
We really enjoy them, and I hope whatever we can help to get more cars to the start line, we're more than happy to contribute.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, Mario.
Thank you. Bye.